We're here with Jenn Willey today. She is the head of Wet Cement, and she's also the subject matter for DPAA's Women Empowerment series programming. It's called We Do, Women Empowerment in Digital Out of Home. And Jenn just conducted a great hour-and-a-half webinar yesterday that had over 340 people from around the world, all of our members from LA, Canada, Africa, London,
Dubai, Rome,
weighed in.
India.
Yes, it was amazing. And you had everybody speaking the same language, and it was a great day of not only empowerment and learning, but during this time especially, I think we gave everybody a sense of the digital out-of-home community and the DPAA community, which the power of connection is even more so powerful today. We're social distancing, but we don't need to emotionally or learning distant. And you helped kind of connect all those synapses yesterday. So Jenn, we know you as, running the series for us, but tell us a little bit more about Wet Cement and all of your coaching endeavors, which evidently you've been doing very well with as well.
Thank you. Yeah. So I come from the advertising and media industry and spent 20 plus years running sales strategy and marketing for many of the companies that all of us know and love, like AOL, Yahoo, WebMD, and others. And after a while, what I found was that my true passion came into really two things. First, helping to advance women in the workplace. And so I started building some of the women's leadership organizations within companies I was working at, like WebMD and AOL, and also serving on boards for the Alliance for Women in Media and other things, of trying to find unique ways that we could create programming that was different than just seeing a panel of inspiring women, which is wonderful and helps elevate women's thought process of what can they achieve, but to really help people do the work for themselves so that they can identify what are their strengths and feel confident about that, and then self-promote and achieve their potential, but also really recognize what are those areas I need to work on, not only for me personally, but where women and men tend to have gender disparities in the workplace. And I just got to this point where I said, this is where I want to spend my time. Whatever time we get here on earth, and we understand that more now than ever, every day is a gift. And I'd rather put my passion and enthusiasm and commitment and ambition towards helping other people achieve their potential, women. And then the other part of it is everyone. So I've been very blessed that I've worked with amazing men throughout my career, not just from an ally's perspective of helping women advance, but men who have helped me unlock my fearlessness at work. So really just got to this point where I said, life is short, and I want to spend the time that I have here really doing the research around fearlessness for everybody, but then also looking at what are the gender disparities within there, and then creating curriculum, content, and methodologies of how people can really start to figure out how do they become the most fearless versions of themselves.
That's great. And you mentioned the times today, which are certainly challenging times as we're all going through. You working with a variety of clients and people, how do you find the working from home has affected people's sensibility? How are they working from home? And how have you been able to, Jenn, to kind of coach them to be their best during this scenario?
Well, I think I feel very lucky because I have worked from home as an individual contributor and as a leader on and off for close to 17 years now. And I've been in that situation where I've worked from home full time. I've managed other people from home. I've been at home several days a week, so I understand what that office culture is like. And then when you're the outsider. And so I feel grateful for that. And our team is a remote team at Wet Cement. But what I've been trying to really encourage people is to understand how to leverage tools and technology and just be proactive about their meetings that they're having. So when they're using things like Zoom and Microsoft Teams and whatever platform, Skype, whatever they choose to use, to be thoughtful about what are all of those ways where you are constantly engaging other people in the conversation. I'll give you an example, because for anybody who joined the negotiations webinar that we did yesterday, or I know that you'll be sending out the video of it so people can watch it later, you'll see that I do a few things through that. And it doesn't just have to be when you're doing a webinar, but it can be anytime you're having a team meeting. First and foremost, get people to use their nonverbal body language to participate. So give me a hands up if you feel like this. Nod your head if you feel like this. Another great tool that everyone should be using constantly, but you do have to be thoughtful and plan ahead of how you're going to use it, is the chat. And so you can constantly ask questions of, if you agree, give me a little yes in the chat. Making sure people are introducing themselves, sharing their ideas and thoughts, taking time to look at what's in the chat and validate that, or use that as a launching point to have a conversation if you're with a small enough group that it doesn't get unwieldy. And then I personally am a very big fan of using some of the great tools that are out there that make it even more engaging. So my favorite that I've been using right now is one called Mentimeter. Mentimeter.com, and it allows you to visualize people's input immediately. So as soon as someone's weighing in, they are seeing that show up on the screen, but in fun ways and ways that it's data visualization that makes it fun and exciting and takes it to a different level than just using chat or even some of the more standard polling functionalities that are included in things like Zoom.
Do you actually have you compiled this list of resources? Do you publish this? What do you do with it in addition to articulating it?
Well, I'm happy to share that, yes, we have created a resource guide that now, thankfully, our wonderful partners at the DPAA will be sharing with all of the members of DPAA, so that everyone can have this guide, not only from a work perspective to understand what are some of those tools that you could be using, but also some of the other really important parts for us as human beings that we need to focus on in this crazy time. Now, one of the things that we had talked about in the workshop yesterday was Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and how we go from the basic fundamental needs of physiological needs to safety, to friendship and love, to esteem and having confidence and making things happen. And then finally, the top of that pyramid being self-actualization. And for most of your members and the kinds of leaders who are in such an innovative industry like digital out of home, most of those people have been operating at the top of that pyramid or very close to it. So these are successful, confident, even if inside they may feel a little bit different, generally confident people who have achieved much. And then we have a crisis like this happens, and it's essentially like you fall right down the pyramid and you get to the bottom. And that's why you saw people going out and buying tons of tissue and toilet paper, because they're trying to get that physiological level in place. Then you have the safety of their health, and they're freaking out about, wearing masks and loved ones who are unfortunately negatively impacted. And it actually makes people feel really out of touch and somewhat internal conflict, because they're a different person than who they were a month ago and who they've been for years. And so understanding that and then focusing on some of the things that you can do to feel like you are the same person is really important.
And Jen, before we end up, tell us about the name Wet Cement for your company. What's the genesis of that?
Well, I know you've given me a lot of, not grief, but over the last 2.5 years. And the whole concept behind Wet Cement is, just like in this time period we're in right now, there's usually a window of time where you can make your mark and make an impression, just like with actual wet cement, that you want to last. And so our ability to help you make that mark and make that impression is what came up with Wet Cement.
Well, it's a great organization. Thank you for helping to be the specialist for our We Do charge in the world, and for doing everything you do. It's especially important during this time. Jen, thank you so much. Jenn Willey, leader of many things, including Wet Cement. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.